Hello friends, today we will start the unit number 7, that is the code generation. These are the contents which we are going to see during this session: issues in the design of code generator, target language, basic blocks and flow graphs, simple code generator, register allocation and assignment. So let us start with the first point, introduction. So as we know that this is the final phase of the compilation, we know total 6 phases of the compilations are there, and code generation is the last phase. And after this phase, after the code generation, we will get the desired target program. Okay, now what kind of input it receives? So the intermediate representation which is created by the front end of the compiler, we know that though we have 6 phases of the compilation, those phases are further grouped into front end and back end. So front end consisting of 4 phases of the compiler. First 4 phases, that is lexical analysis, syntax analysis, semantic analysis and intermediate code generation. So these 4 phases together finds the front end of the compiler. So what is output of the front end? That is intermediate code. We can call it as an intermediate representation. So this intermediate representation along with the information into the symbol table, it is given as input to the in this phase, that is the code generation phase. Okay, and what is the output of this phase? That is the desired target program. So it produces semantically equivalent target program. So what is the main task, or what tasks are performed by the code generator? So it performs basic 3 tasks while generating the target code, that is instruction selection, register allocation and assignment, and instruction reordering. These are the 3 main tasks performed by the code generator while generating the target program. Okay, so this diagram indicates the position of the code generator in the design of compiler. So front end of the compiler, that we have discussed, 4 phases are there. First 4 phases are there in the front end of the compiler. So output of the front end is nothing but the intermediate code. You call it as a intermediate representation. Then we have code optimizer. The last chapter or last unit is all about the code optimization that we will see. So we will get the optimized code, and then that code is given to the code generator to generate the desired target program, and during this entire process the symbol table is processed. So as we have discussed, the 3 main tasks performed by the code generator during the generation of code. What is that? Instruction selection. So to get the desired target program, or to get the efficient desired target program, so proper instruction selection must be done. Okay, so choose appropriate target machine instructions to implement the IR statements, because we have to convert, that is code generator has to convert the intermediate representation into the target program. That is intermediate code needs to be converted into the target program. While converting the intermediate code into the target program, proper selection of instruction must be done to get the efficient target program. Register allocation and assignment. Okay, that is very important task performed by the code generation, register allocation and assignment, because execution of the register operand is faster as compared to the memory operand, and we have less number of registers available into the machine. So proper selection of register and proper allocation of register must be done. Instruction ordering, what instruction to execute in which order, that is also very important point to get the optimized and efficient target code. So these are the 3 main tasks performed by the code generator. Then issues in the design of code generator. So what kind of issues can occur while designing or while generating the target code? So first, so total there are 6 issues: input to the code generator, the target program, memory management, instruction selection, register allocation and evaluation order. Now let us see each issue in detail. So first issue in the design of code generator is nothing but the input to the code generator. Okay, what kind of input that the code generator receives? So just now we have discussed that the output of the front end is given as input to the code generator. And what is the output of front end? That is nothing but the intermediate representation along with the symbol table. So that intermediate representation and symbol table is given as input to the code generator. Now intermediate representation, in short, it is called as IR. It has different forms like postfix notations, syntax tree, 3 address code, and DAG, that is nothing but the directed acyclic graph. Okay, so these are the different types of intermediate representation generated by the front end of the compiler. Okay, so we assume front end produces low level IR, because if the front end produces the low level IR, that is the 3 address code, then the 3 address code is the optimized code. If we go for syntax tree or postfix notations, then we may not get the optimized intermediate code. So 3 address code, the code is the optimized code, and we have to assume, or that the code generator has to assume, that front end has produces the low level IR, and it has to assume that already syntax error and semantics errors are removed from the program. So the program, whatever program the code generator has received, that program or that code is error free code. So that does not contain any code, any error, sorry. Then second issue is the target program. What kind of target program it has to generate? Okay, now while generating the target program, the code generator has to identify, or the code generator must have the knowledge of the target program. Okay, knowledge of the target machine. Okay, so different types of architectures the machine can have. What types of architecture can the machine can have? That is the RISC architecture and CISC architecture. RISC is nothing but reduced instruction set computer, and CISC stands for complex instruction set computer. So these are the two different types of architectures the target machine can have. So the code generator needs to have the knowledge of target machine and what architecture the machine is following. If the machine is having RISC architecture, then what advantage it can have over the CISC architecture? So RISC machine has many registers, 3 address code instructions, and relatively simple instruction set, whereas CISC architecture has few registers, 2 address instruction, and variable length instructions. Okay, so if the machine, or if the architecture the machine has, if that architecture is RISC, then it has different advantages over the CISC architecture. So it has to first identify what architecture the machine is following. Most computers has RISC architectures. Now this is about the knowledge about the target machine. So code generator needs to have the knowledge about the target machine. Now what kind of target program can be constructed by the code generator? So it can have different forms of a target program, that is absolute machine language, relocatable machine language, assembly language. These are the different forms of a target program the code generator can generate. Now when the code generator generate what output? Normally the compiler is bound with the assembler. Okay, if compiler is bound with the assembler, then in that case the output of the compiler is always assembly language program. Keep in mind this. If the compiler is bound with the assembler at that time, because we have seen in language processing system, what is the output of compiler? That is assembly language program, and that assembly language program is taken as input by the assembler, and which may produces output as relocatable machine code or absolute machine code. Okay, so if the compiler is bound with the assembler, at that time output of the compiler is assembly language program. If compiler is not bound with the assembler, that is assembler is absent, in that case compiler will produces the output as relocatable machine code or absolute machine code. So depends on the architecture again. We know absolute machine code that is executed at fixed address into the physical memory. Relocatable machine code can be executed at different address. Okay, and we can have different parts of a program linker will link all those parts together, and assembly language program. So as just now we have discussed, if the assembler is present, at that time compiler produces the output as assembly language code, which is given as input to the assembler. Memory management, again this is one of the issues in the design of code generator. So variables, we are using the variables into the, while writing a program we use the variables, and when the intermediate code generator generates the 3 address code, at that time those variables needs to be stored into the symbol table. So the variables used in the intermediate code, those variables refers to the entries into the symbol table. Okay, and we need to identify the requirement of memory requirement of those variables. So compiler uses this type statement, compiler uses or compiler executes the type statements to identify the memory requirement of every variable. Okay, and using the information about the memory requirement, code generation determines the address in target code. So first of all, compiler or code generator has to identify the variables used in the program, variables used in the intermediate code, that is 3 address code. Then it has to identify the memory requirement of every variable by executing this type statement, and using this information it can generate the target code. Instruction selection, so to obtain the efficiency of the target program, the proper selection of instruction must be done. Okay, let us take example. Here we have taken the example as a is equal to b plus c and d is equal to a plus e. Okay, now to obtain the efficiency of the program, instruction selection is very important point. Okay, now if we generate the target program statement by statement, then how it will be generated? Okay, so the target program is written here, move r0, and consider that we have only one register r0 is available. See, registers plays very important role to get the optimized code, because register operands are faster as compared to memory operand, and very few registers are available. We have to utilize the registers properly. If we are able to execute our expression using single register, then rest of the register we can utilize for another expression. So proper utilization of registers must be done. Consider register 1 r0, that is the only one register available. Okay, then how this 3 address code can be translated into the target program? Statement by statement, that is given here. Move r0b, that is b is loaded into register r0, add r0c, then perform the addition of r0 and c. r0 is nothing but b, so perform the addition of b and c, and result is again stored into r0. Again move a comma r0, again load the content of r0 into variable a, move r0 comma a, then we have to load a into r0, perform addition of a and e. Okay, r0 and e means what? A and e, and result will be again into r0, and move d comma r0, that is this entire result we have to store into the variable d. So we have generated these instruction, target instructions, statement by statement. So we have total 6 target instructions for these particular 3 address code instructions. Okay, but if we this generated code is a poor, because it is constructed statement by statement. So if we go with statement by statement construction of a target program, then we can have many target instructions. So our code may not be efficient and it may not be optimized. So to get the efficient and optimized code, we can rewrite the target program as move r0 comma b. So b is loaded into r0, then perform addition of r0 with c. r0 means b, so perform addition of b with c, result is again stored to r0, then r0 will contain the addition of b and c. So b and c's addition will be there into r0, then add r0 into e. So perform addition of R0 with E means A, and then store that result to D. So in this way we will get the optimized and efficient code. So we should not go with statement by statement. If we go with statement by statement, then we may have poor code. Register allocation, so just now we have discussed, it is very important point because execution of the register operand is faster as compared to the memory operand. Okay, and key problem in code generation is deciding what value to hold in what register, because we have different variables and we have less number of registers available. So the problem arises, that is what value we need to store into which register. So and that problem is further divided into two sub problems, that is register allocation and register assignment. So register allocation is nothing but select the set of variables that will reside in register at each point in the program. That is, we need to identify the variables that we want to store into the register, that is nothing but the register allocation. And second point is register assignment, that is, once we know what variables we have to store into the register, we have to select the registers to store those values into the register. So first register allocation is nothing but we have to identify the variables that we want to store into register, and register assignment is nothing but select the register in which those value needs to be stored. Okay, choice of evaluation order. So the order in which computation are performed can affect the efficiency of the target program. So proper selection of instruction must be done and in proper order that must be executed. Okay, we have instructions, but those instructions needs to be executed in the proper order to get the efficient and optimize the target code. Let us take example, a plus b minus c plus d into e. Now this is one of the expression that is converted into the 3 address code. We have 3 address code instructions as t1 is equal to a plus b, t2 is equal to c plus d, t3 is equal to e into t2, and t4 is equal to t1 minus t3. So we have constructed the 3 address code for the given expression, and for this 3 address code we have the right arrow indicates this 3 address for this 3 address code we have this target instructions. So if we go with this order, then we have many instructions. So if I count the instruction, we have 10 instructions for this particular 3 address code. But if I reorder this 3 address code, means what? Without changing a meaning of the program, if I execute or if I reorder the sequence of instructions, then I may have different target program. Like here I have reordered the instructions. So c plus d I will execute first instead of executing a plus b, then e into t2 I will execute second instead of executing c plus d, third I will execute a plus b instead of executing e into t2. So without changing a meaning, I am just reordering the sequence. So after this my code will be optimized. Here I have only 8 instructions, target instructions. So by this way the code is optimized if we choose the proper evaluation order. So in the exam the question may ask like discuss the issues in the design of code generator. Now next point is a target language. So for designing a good code generator, it is necessary to have the prior knowledge of target machine and instruction set used for the target machine. Okay, just now we have discussed we should have the prior knowledge of the target machine, what architecture that machine is following, whether RISC architecture is followed or CISC architecture is followed. That information needs to have while generating the code generator. And we can assume that the target machine is a register machine. Means what? The target machine can have many registers available for holding the value of a variable. Okay, and then the target computer is byte addressable. Where size of the word is 4 byte. Okay, so these are the assumptions while generating the good code generator. Okay, Then while generating the code, while constructing the code generator, we need to have the knowledge about the instructions used by the target machine. So what instructions can be available in the target machine? So some load instructions can be there. So example is the form of load instruction is LD indicates load destination comma address, that is this address needs to be loaded into the destination. For example, load R comma X, that is X is loaded into R. Load R1 comma R2, that is register R2 is loaded into R1. So these instructions can have store instruction. Second instruction, store ST indicates what? Store instruction, where X is the destination, R is the source, that is STX comma R indicates what? Content of R is stored to the X. Then computation operations like OP, DST, SR1, SR2, here we may use the three address code. Unconditional jump instructions, conditional jump instructions, unconditional jump instruction, like for example BRL, that is branch to the label L without checking any condition. Conditional jump instruction B cond R comma L means what? Branch to the location L if condition R is true. Like for example BLTZ R comma L, that is branch jump to the location L if the value in R is less than 0. So these are conditional and unconditional jump instructions. So these are the different forms of instruction that can be available in the target machine, and we should have the prior knowledge about the architecture as well as the availability of instruction in the target machine. Then what addressing mode is used by the target machine? So we have different addressing modes like indexed addressing mode, integer index by register addressing mode, indirect addressing mode, and immediate constant addressing mode. So index addressing mode, like for example load R1 comma AR2 means what? The content of A can be anything, content of A plus content of register R2 are loaded into R1, that is the first indexed addressing mode. Second, integer index by register. For example load R1 comma 100 R2, so that 100 is nothing but the integer index. So load the content of A plus content of R2 into register R1. This is integer index by register addressing mode. Third, indirect addressing mode. So here we may use the pointer variable for while using the indirect addressing mode. Then immediate constant addressing mode, like for example LD R1 comma hash 100, that is value 100 is loaded into R1. So these are the different addressing modes. So while generating the code generator, we should have the prior knowledge of the target machine as well as the instructions used by the target machine and addressing modes also. These are some of the examples. B is equal to A of I. This is what? The indexed addressing mode. Index addressing mode. Then if such instruction is there, then what target code can be generated for such instruction is given here. Load R1 comma I. So I is loaded into R1. I indicates the index, okay, and here we are referring the index addressing mode means what? Total 8 bits are allocated. See, whenever we are dealing with index addressing mode, it means that total 8 bits are allocated to A. A of I is equal to what? 8, okay, because in index addressing mode and total 8 bits are allocated. So I is loaded into register R1, mult R1 comma 8. Why that R1 is multiplied by 8? Just now we have discussed, it is index addressing mode and total 8 bits are allocated. So R1 is multiplied by 8 and that result is stored into R1 again. Second statement indicate that mult R1 comma 8. So R1 comma 8 means what? R1 contains I is multiplied with 8, okay, and that result is stored into R1. And then third statement is load R2 comma A of R1. R1 is nothing but what? I. So A of I is loaded into R2, and that result we need to store to variable B, because the statement is B is equal to A of I. So st B comma R2, that is R2 is stored into B. So whenever such instruction is there, this kind of the target program can be constructed. Second example, A of j is equal to C, okay, again it is index addressing mode. So content of C are loaded into register R1, then j is loaded into R2. As it is index addressing mode, that is we have to multiply this j with 8. So that is given in the third statement, mult R2 comma R2 comma 8, that is R2 is nothing but the j is multiplied with 8, and result is again stored to R2, and st A of R2 comma R1, because R1 is nothing but the C, we have to store the C into A of j, that is C is there in the R1. So st A of R2 comma R1. Conditional jump 3 address instructions. So whenever conditional instructions are there, how the 3 address code or how the target program can be constructed, that is given here. If x less than y, go to L, okay. So load x into R1, load y into R2, subtract R1 and R2, result will be there in R1, okay, result is there in the R1, and then BLTZ R1 comma M means what? Branch to the location M if R1 is less than 0. If this condition is true, R1 is less than 0, if this condition is true, then jump to the location M. So this is what conditional 3 address code, conditional jump 3 address instruction. Program and instruction cost. So here this table shows the instruction cost of every instruction. Now such examples can be asked in the exam, that calculate the cost of the instruction. So how to identify cost of the instruction, or how to calculate the cost of the instruction? See, whenever 2 register operands are used in the instruction, at that time cost of the instruction is 1. So see the first instruction, move R0 comma R1. So 2 register operands are used, okay, 2 registers are used. So whenever 2 registers are used, at that time cost will be 1. So right hand side shows the cost of the instruction, so cost will be 1. Now second statement, move R0 comma M. So here R0 is the register operand, M is the memory operand. So if in the instruction 1 register operand and 1 memory operand is given, at that time instruction cost will be 2. So you can see here cost of the instruction is 2. Third instruction, move M comma R0. Again M is memory operand, R0 is the register operand. So when we have 1 memory operand and 1 register operand, at that time cost of the instruction will be 2. Now except these first three statements, if any instruction occurs, okay, from 4th to 6th, any instruction cost will be 3, okay. So for first we have, if we have 2 register instructions, 2 register operands, cost will be 1. If 1 memory operand and 1 register operand, cost will be 2, and except this cost will be 3. So it may be index addressing, it may be pointer index addressing, at that time cost will be 3. Okay, here it is given LD R0 comma R1, 2 register operands are used, so cost will be 1. LD R0 comma M, 1 register 1 memory, cost will be 2. Third LD R0 comma A, 1 register 1 memory, so cost will be 2. And third is a indirect addressing, so R1 star 100 R2. So except first 3 statement, rest of the instruction cost will be 3. Basic blocks and flow graphs. So this is again very important point, basic blocks and flow graphs. So what is basic block? So sequence of 3 address code instructions are nothing but the basic block. Okay, sequence of 3 address code instruction. What basic block contains? Sequence of 3 address code instructions. Okay, so that is given here. Partition the 3 address instruction into block called as a basic block. So we can say the basic block is a block that contains all the 3 address code instructions. Okay, and there are certain conditions in the basic block, that is the control enters into the basic block in the first statement and control leaves the basic block in last statement. So last statement of the basic block indicates the control leaves the basic block. First statement indicates that you can enter into the basic block. Okay, and what is flow graph then? The control flow information in the basic block is shown by the graph called as a flow graph. So the flow graph, the flow of information among the basic block is shown by a graph called as a flow graph. Okay, so in the flow graph the nodes are nothing but the basic blocks, and there is a directed edge from one basic block to another basic block if and only if the control is transferring from one to another. There is a directed edge. Okay, what is the benefit of this? We will get the optimized target code. If we go with a basic block, then we can have the optimized target code. Okay, the representation is constructed as, so partition the intermediate code into basic block. Okay, how can we construct a basic block? That is very important. So the flow of control can only enter the basic block through the first statement in the block. That is, we have just now discussed, the first statement in the basic block indicates that is the only entry point for the basic block, and the last statement in the basic block indicates that is the only exit point for the basic block. Okay, and some conditions are like, we cannot have the jump instruction in the middle of basic block. Okay, like for example, jump instruction can be if statement, if else statement, or any loop, like for example for loop, while loop, do while loop. So these are the jump instructions. So these jump instructions cannot be in the middle of the basic block. These jump instructions will always occur at the last statement, as a last statement in the basic block. Okay, because the last statement, from the last statement our control is transferring to the different location. Like for example, we know that the execution of the program is taken place statement by statement. Okay, and whenever any branch statement like if else, or any loop, for example for loop, while loop occurs in the program, at that time this normal execution of the program is broken and control is transferring from one location to any different location. Okay, so that is the reason, we cannot write the last statement as last statement in the basic block as a branch statement, any branch statement. Okay, control will leave the block without halting or branching except possibly at the last instruction in the basic block. So if such instruction is there, if such jump instruction is there, so such jump instruction can occur as a last statement in the basic block. The basic block become the nodes of flow graph whose edges indicate one block follow other block. So basic blocks are the nodes for the flow graph, and there is a directed edge from one block to another block if the control is transferred. Let us take example, or before that we will see the algorithm how can we construct the basic block. So as we have discussed, the basic block consisting of all the 3 address code instructions. So input is what? Sequence of 3 address code instruction. Output is what? List of basic block. Okay, we have to construct the basic block, means what? This is the output. And method, we have to identify the leader statement. We have to identify the leader statement. Now which statement is called as a leader statement? So there are certain scenarios. First, the first statement in the 3 address code is always a leader statement. Okay, first statement is always a leader statement. Then any instruction that is the target of conditional or unconditional jump is a leader statement. Okay, and third, any instruction that immediately follows a conditional or unconditional jump is a leader statement. Now what is that second, what is meaning of second and third, we will understand with the help of example. Now this is simple example where no branch statement is written, no jump instruction is written. You can observe here we have not written any if statement, while loop, for loop. It is simple expression, a into a plus 2ab plus b into b. Now basic block, we know what basic block contains, sequence of 3 address code instructions. So this expression we have converted into the 3 address code as we have written into the basic block. All the instructions are 3 address code instruction. So the second and third rule of finding leader statement is not applicable to this expression because there is no jump or no branch statement here. Okay, now let us take the jump instruction example. Now here we have do while loop. Okay, here we have do while loop. Now all the 3 rules of finding the leader statements are applicable to this example, Okay, now this is the simple example of do while loop. Now we will construct the basic block for this example. So this is the basic block consisting of all the 3 address code instructions. Now we need to identify the leader statement because these are only, this is not a basic block, these are the 3 address code instructions only we have written. Now we have to construct the basic block by applying these 3 rules, that is finding the leader statement. We have to identify the leader statement and we will be able to construct the basic block. Okay, now let us identify the leader statement. Now first rule states that first statement is always a leader statement. So here first statement, statement number 1, production is equal to 0, that is the leader statement. So first leader statement we have got. Then next rule states that any instruction that is a target of conditional or unconditional jump. So any instruction that is a target. Now you can see statement number 6. See, while converting do while loop into the 3 address code, this loop is replaced by the if statement always. Keep in mind that you may say that here there is no do loop or there is no while loop. So whenever we are converting the any loop, it may be do while loop, it may be while loop, or it may be for loop, we are not going to use these loops. We will replace these loops by if. Okay, so here we have replaced do while by if. So last statement, that is statement number 6, if I less than or equal to 20, go to statement number 3, that is while I less than or equal to 20. If this condition is true, we have to jump to the do location and we have to execute the do part. Okay, when we have to execute this, if this particular condition is true, so that is represented here. If I less than or equal to 20, go to statement number 3, that is T1 is equal to A of I into B of I. So here A of I into B of I, this is not a 3 address code. Production is equal to production plus A of I into B of I. This is not 3 address code. So here we have constructed the 3 address code. Okay, now this is a jump instruction. We know that if is a jump instruction because if the particular condition is true, we have to jump to new location. Okay, so that is given here. If I less than or equal to 20, go to statement number 3. So what rule says that any instruction that is target of conditional or unconditional jump is a leader statement. So here if is a jump instruction, and what is target statement for this? That is the statement number 3, because we have to jump to statement number 3. What here we have written, if I less than or equal to 20, go to statement number 3. So statement number 3 is the target statement. So statement number 3 to 6 will be in a different basic block. Okay, so here you can see basic block 1 contains only first 2 statement. Production is equal to 0, that is the leader statement, because we know rule says that first statement is always a leader statement. Then we have identified the second leader statement. How it is identified? We have identified the jump instruction and what is target to that jump instruction. So whatever instructions are there in between, those instruction will occur in different basic block. Okay, so statement number 3 to 6, because 6 is a jump instruction and for this target will be statement number 3. So 3 to 6 will be in a different basic block. So that is shown in the diagram. Now flow graph, we have discussed flow graph represents what? Flow of information among the basic block. How the flow or how the control is transferred from one basic block to another basic block, that is shown by using the flow graph. Okay, once basic block created represent flow of control between them called as a flow graph. Nodes are basic block, so nodes of the flow graph are nothing but the basic block. Okay, there is a edge from B to C if and only if last instruction in B allow the control to transfer to the first instruction of basic block C. Okay, then we have two ways, conditional or unconditional jump from the end of B to the beginning of C. So that is what we have discussed just now, that is last statement. Here also you can observe that last statement in the basic block is always a jump instruction if jump instruction is there in the 3 address code. Okay, so here basic block 2 last instruction is a jump instruction. That jump instruction we cannot write in the middle because from there our control is transferring to some different location. So how the control flow information is added to basic block? By using the flow graph. Okay, so first entry point, that is the entry point, first basic block, then second basic block. After execution of the second basic block, we have to jump to statement number 3rd. So statement number 3rd is the first statement in the basic block 2, second basic block. Okay, so loop is there, so that loop is represented here in the second basic block. So this control flow information is added to the basic block by using the flow graph.